So my name is Ethan Friedman, and this is the DC Day Swing Traders Meetup Group. We have currently, as of today, 1,771 members nationwide or worldwide. And we meet monthly, and we've been meeting on Zoom. The group's been in effect for a very long time, going back to at least 2010, possibly before that. And we have all kinds of traders in here. We have professionals, we have beginners, we have people in between, long-term investors, day traders. We trade stocks, bonds, ETFs, crypto, options, you name it, we do it. And the idea of the group is to have people get to know each other so we can all help each other and just really improve and learn from each other. And we're a very friendly group. And I guess the overall number one goal is pretty much the same for everyone, which is to make money. So we're all here to make money, and we all have different ways. And just a little bit of background. So I've been trading about 30 years. I went full-time May 15th of 99. I was originally on ClearStation, and then I joined Active Traders, and I ran a room there for like 16 years, called The Playground. And it was called The Playground, the home of wind and solar and alternative energy. So I focused on that. And I do what's called functional trading. And it's a sort of a combination, or I'm sorry, target trading. So I look at the overall market, I look at the sector, I do technical analysis, functional analysis, fundamental analysis, financial analysis, and then make my decisions on when to buy and when to sell. And this will surprise several of you, especially Carl and Rob. But in the last 4 weeks, I've actually been making intraday trades. I had only made 2 ever, and now I've been making them and doing well. We'll see, but it's sometimes I have to hold overnight. But you know, there are a lot of bills due, and I just needed to make some money, so that's what I've been doing. So the topic of the presentation, and we're going to try and keep it relatively short, because my daughter's analysis is that people aren't staying around to watch our 1.5 hour videos. They tend to have a short span of attention. So we're going to try and make this short. But what I've entitled this is How to Select a Broker. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And right now I'm in that process. Several people have been in the process. And I want to talk about how to go about doing this. Now, let me just say this. There is no one expert in the world on how to select a broker. If anyone says they are, you know, they're not telling the truth, because every single one of you and every single person out there has different financial objectives and different ways to get there and different features and functions that they want from a broker. And no 2 people are the same. So these are obviously my own personal questions. And I'm going to break this up into 2 parts after talking with Rob the other night. I think first I'm going to go through all my questions that I ask a broker. And then at the end, that's part 1. And part 2, we're going to talk about the platform. And I'm going to urge other people to come in and ask, present any questions they ask of their brokers or things I may have missed. Because again, I'm coming up with my questions based on my perspective. But everyone has different perspectives, and especially on the platform. Because the platform that you're going to use from a broker or a neutral site is what's called in information technology, the look and feel. So is the screen sparse? Is the screen busy? Do they present tons of options, just a few options? And we'll get into all that. But everybody has different requirements. Some people like it simple. Some people like it complicated. So we're going to talk a little bit about the look and feel and some of the things you can look for. But one thing I wanted to explain up front, choosing a broker is not something you do every day. You maybe do it once every 5 to 10 years. It's not like you do it all the time. And Once you get into the broker, you're sort of stuck with them. And it's hard to move to other brokers. It takes time. And when you do, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but when you actually move your account's frozen in 5 to 7 days. So if the market crashes, you're stuck. You can't get at your assets. And if it goes way up, you can't get at your assets. So it's really important to figure out, if you're not starting from scratch, when to transfer. And it's tough. It's really, really tough. And there's all sorts of, we're going to try and make this presentation today, my presentation, straightforward, but it actually can be quite complex. So for example, if it's December, do you really want to sell during tax loss selling? Do you really want to miss the Santa Claus rally? In January, what if there's a January effect, which is most years? Do you want to miss that? What happens during buy Roche, sell Young? Do you want to take that chance and miss a trade? What about the end of the quarter when the funds, what's the word, rebalance? I mean, that could affect your holdings. So do you want to, if you know you have a big dividend coming up that you can get in on, do you want to trade the account and miss it? I mean, there's a lot to figure out as to when to make a trade. So another example, I have some Bank of America accounts, checking accounts. And if I was to move my broker account, which is Merrill Lynch, then I would incur $37 a month in maintenance fees for the two small bank accounts, which comes out to something like $444 a year. I did it a while back, but who wants to pay that amount of money? So it's a question of who you're going to and when to do it. And the other thing you need to know is you don't really know if you're going to be happy until you're there. So that's why I came up with all these questions, to try and flush out as much information as I can. So let me begin with this. What is the number one question for a broker? Is there even a number one question? And in my view, the answer is yes. And that is, can you even get hold of them? So what I recommend is that you call a prospective broker that you're interested in, or several, and you call them in the morning, you call them in the afternoon, and you call them at night, and maybe call them on a weekend, and see if you can get through. So for example, I have Merrill Lynch, and I'm not here to put down Merrill Lynch during my presentation, but I will tell you, in the last 4 months, I can hardly ever get through to them. I can be on the phone on hold for 4 hours trying to get hold of these people. Whereas for the last several years, either as a customer or not as a customer, with TD Ameritrade, I can get through every single time between 30 and 60 seconds. Well, you're going to ask, why is this important? Well, what happens if you don't get your 1099? Or what happens if you get a bad fill? Or what happens if the entire platform has a virus attack and goes down, which has happened to various vendors in the last 3 years? What happens if you're on a mobile app and it freezes? What happens if you have questions about margin and you really need to know something right away? If you can't get through, you're stuck. And to me, it's the number one question. Can I get through to the broker? So I recommend test calls to find out if you really can get through. And it's very, very important. And I can't tell you. No,
when you get a second, I have a question.
Oh.
When you get a second, I have a question. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I guess I did interrupt your role. Sorry, but do you have a direct line to a trade desk there? Or
No,
like,
I just call the main number.
okay, but because to me there's customer service support, which, you know, the good brokers do pick up the phone quick, but most don't. But they also, like, to me, the only time I need right now help is if something goes whacked in the platform and there's, you know, money involved right now. And I mean, I don't know about most, but I know a lot of brokers do have a direct trade desk line that'll get you right through to someone that can implement something.
Oh, I actually am a premium awards member. I do have that line, but you still, no one answers the phone.
No one gets,
Can't
okay.
get through.
Well, that's the key, right? Right.
That's the key thing. And just so everyone knows, I meant to mention, it's always important for a guest speaker to present their background. So in this case, I was also a chief investment officer for 5 years and 2 months, my religious organization. So I've dealt with Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Quicken Riley, Brown, Bank of America, and Merrill Lynch. Those are all the one, and E-Trade. So I've dealt with all those companies over the years. So that's my experience in dealing with the brokers. So now let me go on to all the other kind of questions. And these are questions, I recommend you ask. Okay, so first of all, you want to know, is there a monthly account maintenance fee? Is there a yearly account maintenance fee? Is there an annual IRA fee? Is there a semi-annual IRA fee? If I'm transferring a fund or transferring an IRA, what is the process to transfer it? How do I do that? What process does it go through on their end? Can it be completed rapidly? How long does it usually take? These are questions that you need to know. Are you going to reimburse me for transfer fees? So for right now, I have a fund that was just in the fund, and they told me I couldn't sell the fund because they had developed paperwork after I had started with the fund, because I'm one of their original investors. And so the paperwork was developed 5 years. I never knew about it. They never told me about it. So I figured the best thing to do is to transfer to TD Ameritrade. Well, they took out $25. I still don't have my $25 transfer fee. So that's just something, every penny counts. If you're bringing a fund in to a broker, you want to go through those funds in detail and know if you can sell the funds for free, or are they going to charge you? So right now I have another fund I'm bringing over, and in order to sell it, they want to charge me $114. Whereas with TD Ameritrade, I could sell it for free. Well, why spend $114 when I can sell it for free? So it's just something to consider. Now, when you transfer from another broker, you can transfer all your holdings, or you can transfer them partially. So that brings up other questions. Is there a full transfer fee? Is there a full transfer in fee? Is there a partial transfer in fee? Is there a full transfer out fee if you're going to another broker? Is there a partial transfer out fee? Is there an account closing fee? Okay. Is the account going to be a margin account, or are you going to get a cash account and a margin account? So for example, when I had Bank of America, they had a cash account and a margin account. Well, they go and buy Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch shows up, gets them out of there. Now I'm dealing with Merrill Lynch, and they put everything in a margin account. Now, my understanding is that in a margin account, they can borrow your shares to short. And I gave them written instructions that not to do that, but I don't know if they ever actually did that or not. Okay, so here's another set of questions. What is the interest rate for cash? If I have cash in the account, what interest rate am I getting? Okay. Can I order my stocks to not be lent out for shorting? If there's a reverse split, is there a reverse split fee? What if a company goes private? Is there a go private fee? Here's another one, ADR fees. Now, for those who don't know, if you have a foreign investment, they often have ADR fees, American Depository Receipts. These are fees that come out once a year. And again, I don't want to get too complicated, but I want to show you how complicated it could get. Okay, so if you have like Chinese solar stocks, you pay every year a fee for the American Depository Receipts, the ADRs, representing that solar stock in an American bank. So they charge for that. Well, if you have a lot of Chinese solar stocks and you have a lot of shares, those fees can add up to hundreds of dollars a year. And let's say you hold your Chinese solar, like I did on several, for 10 years. So That's a lot of money. Well, when you go to figure out your profit and loss, you have your original cost of buying it, plus all the ADR fees go into your cost category, okay? But here's the question. Does the 1099 capture the ADR fees? So if they don't, it means that my data that I'm giving to my accountant and the broker's data aren't going to match, which is a problem because the IRS is going to catch the discrepancy. So my accountant has figured out a way that if there is that discrepancy, he's found a way to add in the money that I incurred as a cost to me. But it took him a couple of years to figure that out. So that's the question. So from an IT perspective, as an example, if you can, as a broker, if you can receive the ADR fee, list it in the historical activity file, and ding me for that amount of money, then why can't you capture the fee in a field, database field, and then have it ready to go on the 1099 while I sell it? For a programmer, this is like baby stuff. And yet, for example, Merrill Lynch doesn't do it, which causes me innumerable discrepancies because I had owned at one point 13 Chinese solar stocks with 13 ADR fees. So that's a problem. Are there paper monthly fees? Are they free? Are there paper transaction statements? Are they free? Okay, if you're using the mobile app, do you get logged off the mobile app? With TD Ameritrade, I get logged off between every 5 and 10 minutes. According to one of our members, Angel, he can stay on TD Ameritrade all day without getting logged off of their mobile app. How long can you stay on it? Now, Merrill Lynch online on the computer has extended it to 2 hours, but that can be a pain. Here's another one. Is there a timer for establishing limit or market orders? And you're going to say, what's that? Well, again, Merrill Lynch. If you set up an order and just set it up, you're not doing anything else. You're not hitting enter for the review. You're just setting up the order. If it's there more than 5 minutes, they wipe it out and you have to reset up the whole order. I mean, that's a real pain. It's a problem. Now, TD Ameritrade has told me that once with them, when you set up the order, if you click, confirm, if you click preview, at that point, you have 45 seconds to send the trade. But before that, if you don't hit preview, it can stay there whenever. Whereas again, with Merrill Lynch, it gets wiped out. And it's a problem because it's a question of understanding how people trade. As you all know, when you set up a trade, you're looking at your ask and bid, and you're going to let it go. You set it up, and you're going to let it go when you can get the best price. So I may hold it an hour till I feel that I'm ready to let it go, and then wham. And some of you are faster. I know Beth, probably Carl, I know Rob. They see it and they go and they're quick. But for someone like me, I'm not that quick. So it's a problem. So that's another question to ask.
I had no idea there were that many problems.
Sorry?
I had no idea there were that many problems.
Oh yeah.
Like wiping out orders and stuff.
Let us know when you're going to take questions.
Okay. Well, I want to go through the rest of these questions because maybe you can write them down while you're waiting, because I want to get through all this and don't get sidetracked, because I've got a whole nother page. The print program. If you go, like I like to print every 6 months my activity folder. It's nice to have it in front of me printed, because I have trouble working online and going from screen to screen. It's just so much easier if I have it on paper. Well, how does it print? So for example, Bank of America, I had no issues. You look at it, you hit print, it formats it, you hit it again, you get your thing. Merrill Lynch, for example, I know I'm picking on them, but I'm annoyed. This has gone on for 6 years. They don't listen to me. They made the print so tiny, you need a magnifying glass to read it. And they also have page break errors. So it'll break in the middle of a page. You also, to see all your information, have to open up each entry So let's say you get a dividend. So you have to open up the other lines of the dividend of the entry in order to see the price per share and how many shares you got. And you have to open up each line individually. Okay, that takes time. That's a problem. Okay, so the print program is really important. You want to be able to print it. Can you trade futures? With Merrill Lynch, you can trade futures. With TD Ameritrade, you can trade futures. That's a big deal. Are there OTC over-the-counter fees? If no, yeah, fine. If yes, what are they? What happens if one of your stocks goes below $1? Can you still sell it online? Or you get a warning message that suddenly you have to put in a code if it's below $1? Does the broker provide checks? If yes, how many checks do you get and are they free? I know a lot of people I've met over the years who like to have at least one book of checks. Does your broker connect to a bank account? Okay. How long does it take to transfer dollars from the broker to the bank account? Okay. Now let's talk about bonuses. Is there a bonus for joining the broker? How much is the bonus tiered, and how much do you need to put in? Will they take it away in a year if your total amount goes down? That's a new trick they have. So they might give you a $300 bonus, but if you're way below what you started at a year from now, they reserve the right to take the $300 back. What about referrals? Are there referrals? Can you get other people money? They've changed that on TD Ameritrade. Okay, I mentioned is the bonus taken back every 12 months. What are the support hours? Okay, and here's another thing I recently discovered. A lot of these brokers have support hours around the clock, but the trade desk people are only there till 8 o'clock. So TD Ameritrade and Merrill Lynch, they're trade desk people who really know what's going on. They leave after 8 o'clock. And the people who come on don't know as much. And they're not going to be able to answer detailed technical questions, like questions on margin and things like that. So you really need to know the support hours and how it works. Do they mail the 1099s? What about, here's another very important question. What are the before and after market hours? So some brokers, I believe Webull are 4 in the morning. Some Merrill Lynch is 7 o'clock. I believe one of the complaints about Robinhood was they don't open till 9 o'clock. I believe, this is just a question I have down, but I believe the answer, there are only limit trades before and after market hours. Does the account keep track of remaining cash when a buy trade is executed? Okay, and you're going to say, what do you mean? For those of you who have slick software, well, again, with Merrill Lynch, if I have, let's say, $10,000 and I make a trade for 5,000, I have 5,000 left that I could spend on a trade. But Merrill Lynch doesn't show me that. They still show the 10,000. So I have to manually calculate it. So it makes it very difficult to know what I have on hand, which is TD Ameritrade automatically debits it. So these are sort of problems you run into because you really need to know how much cash you have on hand. How long do the trades take to process? Are they T+2 now, or are they slower or longer? When are the totals updated? Merrill Lynch has batch processing. So, for example, I had a trade, it completed on Friday. By completed, I mean T+2. The trade was completed on Friday. They're telling me I won't see the result of that trade till Wednesday morning. Okay. So when are totals updated? That's the question. Are there stock alerts? Are there stock alerts on mobile? Is there streaming data, and is there streaming times and sales data where you can see every single individual trade? Do you have to pay for time and sales data, or do you have to pay for streaming data? If you have streaming quotes, can you reorder the columns? For example, if you have open, high, low, volume, average volume, can you reorganize those? And how easy is it to do that? And we can talk a little bit more about that under the platforms. Are there level 2 quotes? Do you have to pay for level 2 quotes? Is there a paper trading feature? Do they allow you and a number of people, especially Carl, who's on our call? Carl has emphasized time and again how important it is to paper trade before you go live. Well, does the broker provide a free paper trading platform? What about getting news? Do they get briefing.com? Do they get Reuters? Do they get thefly.com, which can be very good? Do they get MarketBeat? What kind of news feeds do they have? I talked about, can you trade futures like Grayscale? Another one, what are the margin interest rates? That's something you need to know. And when do you know how much margin interest you accrued, if any? So if you're on margin, do you have a running total somewhere so you know how much margin interest you're accruing? Are you in the dark? Let's see. And I have a couple more. We're almost done. Hey, Rob mentioned, are you going to pay for data like level 2? Let's see. And we'll get into, let's see. Software. Oh, another thing, how are the fills? Do you get a good execution? Are the companies you're dealing with paying for order flow? That could affect your fills. How does the order routing work? Rob talked to me the other day about, can you control it? He had software several years ago, maybe he'll talk about it, where he could control the order routing, where it was going to be routed to. I think most traders, that would be much more sophisticated. Another thing Rob mentioned is, do they provide a short list? And on that short list, do they have a lot of stocks that are available for entry, that are available to be shorted? Can you short small caps or just large caps? And I think I covered anything. Why don't we stop here and take some questions, and then we're going to move on, and Rob's going to help me. Baby Beth, you can jump in, Carl. We can talk about the platforms and things to look at with the platforms, because it's really a more open-ended discussion. So those are the questions I have that I am going to ask. I'm asking these brokers, because I like to know that.
There's a lot of questions. It's amazing.
Well, I like to know what I'm getting.
I would add one thing, and that is regarding the presentation that I recently gave, is that can you place conditional orders after 8 p.m.? I would want a broker where I would have that ability to do that. So I would add that to the list.
Oh, that's great. So let's explain for anyone who's new. Can you give what a conditional order is?
Yeah. So after 8 p.m., the market's not moving. And so you can go to the daily chart and you can look for entries and place an order so that the next day when the market opens, if it hits the condition that you set for the order, you'll go into the trade, either a buy or a sell. And then you can, hit your target and get out. Or you can hit your stop loss and get out. So that's the short view of what that is.
Great.
Now I have a question, and that is regards, you said that you told the broker you didn't want your stocks in your account to be loaned out.
Right.
And let's take Apple as an example. Every broker has a very large inventory of Apple. If they choose your account, are you then not able to trade if they have loaned it out and it hasn't been paid back?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I do not know the answer to that.
So I've never heard that when you short and you borrow a stock that it's against a specific account, or the broker knows he's got 2 million shares, and he then knows his average of loaning out is 500. I don't know that they pin it to a particular account. I've never heard of that before.
Well, I can tell you where this comes from. And again, I didn't want to make the presentation for those watching on your YouTube too complicated. But my understanding from the days in ClearStation, which was the premier place to go in the 1999 and 2000, it was really phenomenal. Teaching platform and investment boards with no banter like today, just all serious traders. But they used to say that for like a small cap stock, if they could rally the members of ClearStation to move their shares from a margin account to a cash account, they said the brokers had to cover, and it would create a short squeeze if enough people did it. So that was the theory behind telling a broker that you don't want your shares lent out for shorting. Now, in the case of Apple, unless you're an institution, I mean, I don't think it's going to matter. But for a smaller stock, it could, if you have enough people.
Well, I think that's what the GameStop thing was a little while back. People were making their stocks not borrowable for these hard to borrow stocks, and that's why GameStop shot up, and things like Robinhood wouldn't do it, and people were just outraged.
Well, I think that's where the hard to borrow, which means hard to borrow means you can't borrow it. Easy to borrow, ETB, means you can borrow it. And I think that's, I don't know back in the year 2000 if that designation existed in the industry or not, but today it does.
It
Well,
was 2005 or 6 that they stopped making shorts. I don't remember exactly, but I remember when they did that. You used to be able to short anything anytime, and that was a problem, evidently.
all I can tell you is this: when I had Bank of America, I had two accounts. I had a cash account and a margin account, and some of my stocks were in the cash account, some of the stocks were in the margin account. And when Merrill Lynch showed up, they got rid of the cash account and everything became the margin account. And I mean, I noticed it. It was like, what's going on here? So I was always sort of suspicious.
I think you might be able to ask them to take margin off the accounts.
To take what off, Beth?
To take margin off of the account and make it back into a cash account.
Oh, I don't know. I could try. I could talk to them. Yeah. Yeah. So are we ready? Is there any other questions before we move on to the platform, or? Okay, so
I was
let's
actually just going to ask one thing on, you were talking about calling the trade desk, and I've had issues where the platform was causing an issue and I had to call the trade desk to get out. What happens? Is there like some really fine print that says if the platform messes up, it's not our problem? My broker, I was just extremely surprised when they actually stood behind their platform and put the account back the way it was. So if there's an issue with the platform, what's the broker going to do?
Can we ask who your broker is? Who did that?
Trade Station.
Trade Station.
I was hitting the matrix, the DOM, like sell, and it wouldn't. I had to call on the phone just extremely going nuts. And they took care of it on the phone, but then they had like a separate department or something that goes and looks, and they must have seen I hit the sell button like 80 times and they made the account right. I wasn't expecting it, but that would be something. If there's an issue with the platform, what do they do? What happens? Are you out of luck, or will they stand behind and make a correction? I was blown away. I still am. I didn't expect it.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the mobile app that I'm using with Merrill Lynch froze one day at 3:45. And of course, then you know the story. I couldn't get through to them to tell them. So luckily the next day it worked and it wound up okay, but I was really annoyed. So let's talk about the platform for all these different brokers. And I'm going to start with Rob. I'm going to turn it over. Rob, do you want to explain about the broker neutral software a little bit for our listeners?
Sure. A broker neutral platform is simply one that can work with multiple brokers. But most of the big retail brokers have their own platform. Use their broker, you have to use their platform. But there is a world where there's, I don't know, dozen or two, maybe 50 separate applications that, and just because it's can travel and use with multiple brokers doesn't mean the broker you want to use will necessarily be set up for it. But I know for years I used the platform, and I had it at two different brokers. I had it at one broker. I closed the account there, and it was so nice because all I had to do was open an account in another broker and change the account number on my software. You could have even used it at multiple brokers. You just make sure you're on the right selection. So there are platforms that do that if you tend not to want to stay at a broker very long. The problem is now, as far as I can see anyway, is that most retail brokers are now free, and these platforms are generally not free, because their revenue comes from paying clients, where with the retail brokers, their revenue is a different issue. They're just taking out the price of commission. So, but I just, it's important to know that if you want that function, it is out there and easy to find, I think. And I used it for 10 years and really enjoyed that particular feature. The only other thing I'll say while I'm speaking about that is that platforms are basically like three different things. I mean, and you can often get them separate. Like when I first started trading, I had a separate charting platform and a separate scanning platform, and then all you really need the broker for is order entry. Like I would say that if I had to leave my current broker, which does have I use TradeStation as well these days, and but if I had to leave them for some reason, I would probably still get their software because I've gotten used to the software, and that was one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had, was changing software a couple of years ago. It was really, really hard because if you use it a lot, it gets to be second nature. And I would rather keep my current software and then somehow enter trades manually in a little thing than I would learn a new software platform at this point. So to me, that was kind of an important feature. But what happened was the platform I was using, I was getting where it would just take all my memory out of it. It was a RAM bug or something, and they wouldn't support me. They said it was my problem, and so I left after 10 years of having the same platform, which I loved. I still miss it, but I just couldn't have it be my problem that it would steal all. I mean, it would do it progressively. It would take about a half an hour, but after being on a half an hour, I just wouldn't have any RAM left, and everything would shut down on my
Wow.
workstation. And it's the weirdest thing. But
So-
anyway, it's basically charting programs and scanning and order entry is what goes into a platform. And you can get them all together, but they can also be separate. Many different products. They're all over the place.
So for those out there, when you're looking, based on piggybacking and everything Rob's saying, when you're looking at your platform and debating whether you want to go to this broker or a neutral software site, you want to look and see what you're getting. Are you getting a news feed? Are you able, some of the software platforms now allow you to go to CNBC or MSNBC. You can watch it on the platform. What about your trades? I mean, is it set up, is it just buy, sell short, or are there conditional tradings, percents? There's all sorts of ways it can be done, simple or easy. Simple or more complicated. Do you have a chart that you can look at? Is the chart being updated real time? So for years, I used MedVed Quote Tracker, which was bought out by TD Ameritrade, and it was one of those buy and kill. So they killed the software because it was competing with Thinkorswim. So there were about 100,000 users of MedVed Quote Tracker. And what was nice on MedVed Quote Tracker was the chart was literally drawn for you. It took, the way it worked was it took the streaming quotes, each individual trade, and then kept drawing the chart. So you'd watch it and the lines were literally going up and down and being drawn right in front of you. Plus you had you could put on there all your pivot points, your support points. You got like 4 levels of support, S1 through S4, and 4 levels of resistance. So these lines could be drawn across the chart. So it was really nice. So that's another question when you're looking at your platform. Do you see a chart? Is it updating real time, or do you have to hit enter? What about the ask and the bid? Is that updating real time? Or like Rob said, do you have to use other software? So like on my phone for Merrill Lynch, I'm just trying to execute the trade with them, which, as I explained, I can't set up in advance or to wipe it out. So I use a thing called Stocks Tracker, and I find that gives me real-time ask and bid, and I find it works really well. So I've been using that. So let's see what
That
else.
tool, Ethan, Stock Tracker? You said the tool?
Stocks, STOCKS TRADER, Stocks Tracker. Yeah, that's what I've been using. So you can have up to 100 stocks, but I don't want to get off topic. But I'll just throw in. See, the way I work is because of my approach. I'll have stocks that I own, stocks in a sector, and then stocks that I'm just seeing how it indicates the overall market. So I have, in other words, break it up into stocks that I own and stocks that are information only. That's how I do it. Let's see. So what else? I want other people to jump in here in terms of their platform. So you're looking at the look and the feel. You're trying to understand, do they have charts? Do they have Fibonacci lines? Do they have Bollinger Bands? All those kind of features. A lot of the things we've talked about in our sections. What is it easy to learn? Do they provide? Oh, here's another question I meant to ask. Yeah. Do they have training? Do they have free training? I already attended a 1-hour seminar with TD Ameritrade, which was fantastic. So that's another thing to consider. when you go to a broker.
Was it live, the seminar?
Yeah, the training I went to was live. Yes. Yeah. And they're also offering me a one-on-one with a person. So I don't know if there's a hidden motive behind that or what, because I don't think they do financial advising. So I think it's probably will be very good. So anything else?
One-on-one's good.
Yeah. So Rob, how about you or Beth or Vaughn? When you look at, like, Vaughn, jump in here. How about when you look at a TradeStation, what features, I'm just trying to do this for the general audience, what features do you enjoy? What do you like when you see your screen every day? What do you find? Is there a drag and drop feature, or what do you like?
Me personally, it comes down to coding, because whatever they're going to give you, I mean, you could probably get something to work, but if I have like an idea, can I code it? What is the programming language? TradeStation, again, I hate to be their Google guy, but it's what I use. I mean, they have object-oriented programming, so I can do some really cool things because that's what I know. Not like Thinkorswim, their ThinkScript. I could probably get by on something, but this is what I know. And the funny thing is with platform, another thing I would ask is if it's live and simulated, because TradeStation has simulated Forex, which I studied for a while. And as soon as I was ready to go live and wanted to expand my account, oh, we only do simulated. So, but for me, it's what can I do? What can I add to it to make it me? And that comes through is coding.
Can you offer us a concrete, specific example of what a PC or code does? Or I don't really know.
Yeah, basically, again, I hate to be like the TradeStation marketing guy, but you can code something in straight TradeStation. It's called easy language to buy something on the next bar. Okay, well, for me, instead of just doing like a simulation or a strategy, I have buttons on forms that do certain things. So I never enter a trade manually. If it's going to break like a certain level, I got a button for that. If it's pulling back like a certain amount, I got a button for that. And for me, everything I do is logged, so I can go back to the logs and look and see what I did when, what price it was entered at, what I hit the button at, lag time, everything like that. So again, for me, being able to customize is like a really big thing.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
fantastic.
deep. The programming at TradeStation is really, and I mean, even I can do it. I don't do it much, but I have written a few that I used for a while. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
And it depends on the level, because they've got like classic easy language, which is just straightforward, kind of like Pascal based type of language. And then their newest, the object oriented, and they can go down to like seconds. I can put a timer on something if I want to have something enter a certain condition, but if it takes a certain amount of time, forget it. I can do that. Again, for me, being that I got stuff in my mind, but going from here to here is tough for me. So if the programming language that I can understand it and it will do it, then it really works for me. And for me, again, I've got Thinkorswim. I've been with them before Merite bought it, and it's still, I can kind of get through some stuff. But again, with TradeStation, they're object oriented. I can do order tickets. I can do anything I really want. And for me, that's important.
And I just as a tag on to that, I mean, I don't currently use this, but, and a friend of mine actually came up with it that I trade with. But there, we built a little alert system, and this was easy, where uh, if when I trade in the afternoon, which is rare these days, I like to trade 15-minute setups, like what I call the buy and the sell set. Multiple up bars in a daily downtrend to short. And so anyway, the language easily allowed me to make a screen that would alert me when a stock that's on the list I provided it would move 3 bars or more in one direction, and then on a smaller time frame would reverse and get a 2-minute or 5-minute bar below an 8 MA. And I would get the alert for that, because that's something I'm looking for. If I wanted to take it a step further, I could have it enter as well. But I just wanted to get the alert, and then I'd decide if that was something I wanted or not. But that's the kind of stuff you can easily do.
And that's the thing where programming comes in, because like built in, hey, I've got a moving average. I got Bollinger, Keltner. Here you go. What are you going to do with it? But if you've got ideas like that where you can take and really hone it down to like your ideas, that's important.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a
You know
thing
what
where
I
it pops
miss
up a
about my
window.
old program the most?
Yeah.
There's 2 features, and they're dumb little features, but it drives me crazy. Ethan mentioned one of them, the drag and drop. At my old Realtek software, I used to be able to, take a list and drag it into charts, and it would populate the chart. With the TradeStation, I don't know, as automated as it is, it doesn't have a drag and drop function from a list, at least not that I've ever found.
Well, and probably another thing for your initial questions is what kind of like support do you get from other users? And TradeStation has a forum. I can post a question,
Right.
and I'll get like people at TradeStation, but I'll get people from just all over the world that might be just far better coders than me. We'll have here's what I do, or here's an idea. The support is kind of really important, and that's not coming directly from the brokerage. It's coming from other users. It's coming from the staff that they set aside. If you've got an idea, somebody can probably code it.
That's true. Yeah, there's a big following on that.
Yep.
And I can route orders on it, by the way. You can route orders on TradeStation. You just have to pay. Cost you $0.005 a share, where if you use auto routing, it's free. That's the big deal difference.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that. Man, come on. Are the trades free? I forgot to mention that. I guess because everyone does is free trades, but not everyone has free trades. But that's another question. Are the trades free? So, and usually options cost, what are they, like 95 cents each, or there's a fee? Beth, do you pay a fee for your options?
I negotiated my fee down.
Oh, okay. So
The general question is, how much are the commissions? Not are trades free, but what's the commission structure?
right.
I think also everyone wants tools that help them trade the way they trade. So if you trade with price levels, you want to be able to draw, I don't know, trend lines and support and resist that you want, drawing tools maybe, or you want alerts. I mean, tradingview.com is a website. It's starting to have integration with brokers. I think it's an amazing charting platform. I don't see myself trading through it necessarily, because I like those conditional orders or contingent order. I could get confused about the terminology there, but I love it for alerts and trend lines and Sharing features, I think, is terrific on TradingView. So it's not a broker, but it's a real good charting software.
Yeah.
Oh, they do have integration with some brokers, but I don't have that.
Great comment. Anyone else want to, before I guess we can close up the presentation. Is anybody, that's basically all the questions and analysis of the platform that I have. I hope this was helpful to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
If you're shopping, it's definitely helpful.
If you're shopping, it's helpful.
Yeah, yeah. I don't ever want to have to do that again.
I know it's very stressful. So, well, I have,
I tried out a couple of platforms too.
yeah,
And, it was hard because, the first platform I tried didn't really do anything. I mean, it executed well, but it had no scanning. It, couldn't even adjust column widths. It was too big. And, they gave me a one-on-one. The guys, it was DAS Trader Pro that I tried for a while. And they got on, and I had all these nitpicky little things that, oh yeah, well, it doesn't do that. Well, why do you need that for? And like, well, because like the column width was a big deal. I didn't have 4K monitors yet, and I didn't want like 2-inch wide columns. I wanted like less than 1-inch wide columns with my lists on it. Now it doesn't matter. I have a lot more monitor depth. But that's, it gets down to those kind of things that are important. I miss the colors on my old Realtor platform. The charts were so beautiful, and I could color code all my 5-minute charts to gray and all my 15-minute charts to orange, and all my, and I can't do that now because
this was real tick.
the trade station, unless the color's black, it looks awful. It just doesn't have any gradients or fills, or it goes to your look and feel that you started with.
Right, that's part of a look and feel. Like
I
when
just tolerate
I
it,
had
but I
the
hate it.
resistance and support lines in Quote Tracker, I could color each one. I had a choice of like 8 to 10 colors. So you can if you're working fast, you just look at the color and you know where you're at.
Right.